Welcome to Know Your Mobile. I'm Basil with the Sony Xperia Z and the HTC One, the two hottest Android phones right now. The HTC One is the newest from HTC, announced today. It's got a 4.7-inch Full HD display. It's also got a quad-core processor, ridiculously beautiful design, and a really interesting camera, 4 megapixels. It might sound underwhelming, but in the same breath, it packs the largest pixels known to man. Okay, maybe not. Largest pixels known to camera phones. The Sony Xperia Z, however, has a whole different set of perks. It packs not only a beautiful design, as you can see, really classical, but it also has weatherproofing, so it's water resistant, as well as being dust resistant as well. All the ports are there for under flaps. It packs a 5-inch Full HD display, slightly less sharp, but still absolutely beaming. In terms of camera, it goes the other way. Rather than lowering resolutions and upping pixels, it packs a whopping, lowering pixels and upping pixel size. It packs a whopping 13 megapixel Sony Xperia Z sensor. So let's go into the comparison and kick things off with design. The Sony Xperia Z is a cubey box. It's very, very angular, very, very classical, and looks kind of like a TV. That guy just did a backflip over there. Back to the phones. The HTC One S is much, much more ergonomic. Despite being all metal and feeling extremely solid, you have a really gorgeous design that tapers to an edge of just 4 millimeters. Really, really impressive stuff. It's available in black and white, and the Sony Xperia Z is available in purple, as we have here, black and white as well. They both pack HD displays, though the Xperia Z is 5 inches. That additional size makes the phone feel considerably bigger, not helped by the angular corners. The Xperia Z still feels rich, don't get us wrong, and the glass front and back also adds to the quality of the phone, and it's something called Dragon Trail glass. The HTC One packs a glass fascia, but the rest of the body is aluminium, save for a couple of plastic lines up top and bottom to allow for the NFC connectivity. What that also means is that the phone is a very, very sexy thing. It feels like an iPhone. It feels like so much richer than what people are comparing it to, the BlackBerry Z10. It's got micro drilled holes up top and bottom to accommodate the stereo speakers. So it's a stunning screen with a ridiculous pixel density of 468. The HTC One does win in that respect. However, anyone wants a larger display will have to opt for the Sony Xperia Z, and that is no bad thing because it is also a beautiful phone. In terms of the user interface, we have got Android 4.1 on both. Sony have customized theirs with their user interface. HTC have completely gone to town on theirs with Sense 5. Sense 5 packs this thing called Blink Feed. It's a feed of news and information that just fires itself onto your home screen without you even asking for it. But if you do want control over it, it does give you a range of options to choose your highlights from. You can either pick from newspapers and stuff like that, or you can fire your own content, your own tweets, Facebook followers, etc. onto there. The Sony Xperia Z, all that social networking is done way, way more under wraps than something called Social Life. The core UI is fundamentally way, way more classical. You have Android, which you do also have in other screens, by the way, and you can add and remove panels on the HTC One, as you can see, but we're not going to do that. We're going to carry on talking about the Xperia Z. So if we take a pinch, we can see add remove panels is an option. You've got a widget overview. You've also got a rich selection of themes. We can change the theme to a sapphire green, for example, and that doesn't just change the theme, the wallpaper. Also, it changes the lock screen wallpaper to a really, really complementary wallpaper, not to mention the highlights in our widgets and shortcuts. So the UIs are pretty comparable. We want to live with this blink feed before we say anything too conclusive. It feels like a good idea. It's very heavy, so Android purists might, oh my god, check that out. Anyway, Android purists might not absolutely love it. In the same breath, it's definitely adding something to a very, very stagnant UI experience across iOS and indeed Android and Windows Phone now. So we're not going to be too upset about the fact that HTC have done some experimenting. As far as the cameras go, there's 13 megapixel sensor on the Sony Xperia Z with a 4 megapixel on the HTC One. The sensor on the HTC One though is fundamentally better in terms of the pixel size. Rather than cramming loads of pixels in, they've kept the sensors a very, very comparable size, and they have just made something called an ultra pixel, which captures a lot 300% more light than a standard phone camera. So with that in mind, 300% additional light, you get better low light performance, but you also get that with the optical image stabilization. And you've got optical image stabilization on the front and back, as well as f2 lenses and HDR photos and videos. So we are ridiculously impressed with the work HTC are doing in terms of optics. HTC can be commended for this, but many people out there might think that 13 megapixels is better off the cuff. We can't tell you conclusively until we get both phones in for review, so as soon as we do, we will. Watch knowyourmobile.com or our YouTube channel for that. Finally, on to specs. Both phones have quad-core processors. They both pack a 1.5 gigahertz for the Sony Xperia Z, 1.7 gigahertz in the HTC One. The HTC One's also a slightly newer version of the Snapdragon processor, I do believe. It's not the S4 Pro as in the Sony Xperia Z, but the 600 version. Oh my gosh, so just craziness going on right there. Finding it hard to concentrate. But that's fortunate because we are at the end of our comparison. Aside from a couple of things, 2 gigabytes of RAM on both. You've also got 32 gigabytes of storage on the HTC One, 16 on the Sony Xperia Z. However, that is expandable via micro SD card slot. That, I do believe, is everything we can tell you now about these devices. Stay tuned to knowyourmobile.com or our YouTube channel for more on this, and make sure you subscribe and like this video. Thanks for watching.